All right, Brian Cordes with the Shelby Garage here. We're going to go ahead and jump into this one today. Wanted to put some new sun visors in my 89 CSX. You can see these are old and decrepit to say the least. They look terrible with all the spots and stains all over them. The fabric is loose and just unsightly. Looks terrible. The first thing I did was pry apart the sun visors. This was really unnecessary. I wasn't sure what I was going to get into in here, what I was going to save and what I was going to get rid of. So I took great care in prying these apart. If you're going to recover yours, this is exactly how you do it. There's some sort of clips in there that snap on itself, and you got to separate those to get the two halves apart. Once you do that, you could tear off all the fabric. You could, I guess, even do that before if you didn't care about it. And then recover and snap back together. I didn't want to do that though. I wanted to make some carbon fiber ones, and as a result you can see what we have. There's the two pieces kind of split apart, and inside there's the mechanism that allows it to flip up and down. That's just a piece of metal. It's got to be some sort of spring type steel, if you will, and that rides on a couple flats on that round piece of stock that's attached to the part that goes to the ceiling of the car, and that allows it to kind of give the resistance. Once I had that all set, I scraped my glass with this razor blade, as you can see me doing here. I always clean the glass very well. I got some 3M glass cleaner. It's not entirely necessary in my experience. I'm not going to lie. Epoxy and things, various types of adhesives don't do the best at sticking to glass, but I don't like for there to be anything on the glass for those adhesives to stick to and cause a mess. Plus, you don't want to get anything in the whatever medium you're using to cause the carbon fiber to stiffen up. So really you got to clean the glass, guys. There's no two ways around it. I'm going to stop blathering on about this. Okay, now for the part that you probably came here for. That's cutting the carbon fiber and getting down to business. There's not really much to this. I like to take some thin masking tape and put it on the carbon fiber. Then I take some pretty heavy duty shears, what I call teacher scissors, the ones that your teacher probably had when you were in school. Get a set of those. They cut carbon fiber up to, well, I've done like a 20-ounce weight carbon fiber with no problem before. Cut right through the tape and you're good to go. Keep in mind that the tape on the outside of your shape will not allow for the epoxy or whatever you're using to get in there very well. So if you're doing a wet layup like I'm doing here, you need to plan for an inch or two on the outside of whatever shape your project is going to be, so that way the tape won't interfere with whatever it is you're doing. Again, much like I clean the glass, I also wax the glass just to make sure that everything is going to come up nice and easily. I'd like to take this time to point out that with this project, I was keeping it nice and simple, nice and easy. We could talk about various directions of the weave and your layup and how you're going to do that. But in this case, I just laid it all down the same way. I was only looking for strength in two directions. So let's get ready to pour some resin. Okay, mix up whatever you're using to the manufacturer's specifications. This was totally an exercise in making a functional carbon fiber project for me. So I just got some cheapo fiberglass type resin from the local parts store, mixed it up according to the directions, and began to pour. I really didn't even know how I was going to attach the actual clip piece before I started. So this really was all about making a few flat sheets and then deciding how I was going to affix the part that would attach the visor to the actual roof of the car. You can see that I've got a nice kind of a paint roller with a foam type roller on it. This works great for moving the resin around. I'm going to shut up for a minute and hopefully try and fast forward how I did this. You'll notice at one point I was rolling a piece of stainless steel across these to try and smooth it out. I didn't vacuum bag this. I didn't get crazy at all. So I wanted to try and get some of that excess resin out of there, and I think it worked out very well. Here's the finished product. When you look at it, you can see that there is a little bit of a ripple to it. That's because I am cheap and I'm using a piece of tempered glass from an old shower door. There is a little bit of texture even to the smooth side of it. This video really makes it look a lot worse than it is. If I'm not mistaken, I put a really fine grit sandpaper on that and it smoothed right out. In the next clip here, you can see that I'm using a paint pen to outline the shape of the old visor. What a terrible idea that was. If you have the opportunity to avoid this, please take it at all costs. That was terrible. I couldn't find my soapstone, so I used that paint pen, and it made a huge mess. But nonetheless, once you get the piece outlined, you can take a Dremel with a cutoff wheel, and it makes really quick work of the carbon fiber. Absolutely amazing to cut it. From there, you take a little sandpaper and smooth up your edges. You're almost home free. Okay, here's where things start to get a little bit ugly, I think, but not too terrible. I taped off the front side, and by that I mean the side that you'll see when it's facing up in the car, not in the deployed position. I taped that piece up so that the epoxy wouldn't get over onto the nice side of it, if you will. From here, everything was pretty much a guessing game. This is why I say it gets a little ugly. I really wasn't sure exactly how I was going to affix the part that'll put the sun visor on the roof to the actual panel, so I just experimented with a few things. As you can see, I laid down a few thin strips, put them under the arm, if you will, on this particular visor. I did it two different ways. In one, I put it on the front, the nice side of the visor. On the other one, I put it on the back side. I did pour the resin on there and do the whole thing like I did before, and it just really didn't turn out as well as I would have liked. I think that in general, if I were to do it again, I would try to take that rod and just have the actual rod and put the fabric around that rather than doing it over the whole mechanism. I think that a fairly tight press fit, if you will, through the carbon fiber would be a better way to go than what I did here. Furthermore, I almost wonder if I couldn't get a good enough purchase on that metal bracket and round the arm a little bit, if that wouldn't be enough to hold it in place. As it is, it's very functional and it works. You can see the one that I'd already completed there. I had put a little piece of foam, tried to get some closed cell foam in there to give a little bit more rigidity to the carbon fiber. That was totally unnecessary and only made it look worse. So things to be learned for sure. It's not like I'm going to be trying to sell these or anything like that. When the visor's up, and certainly when it's down, the part that people will see through the windshield, it looks great and it's not a big deal. Again, this was solely an exercise in trying to make something, and furthermore, with the way the other ones looked, it couldn't have gotten any worse. Okay, here's your finished product. I'm absolutely not ashamed of these. I think they look very decent. The one on the right needed to be cleaned up a little bit before it actually went in the car, but once we got it in there, they both looked really nice. Again, proud to have my first carbon fiber functional product out there that I've made, and I am looking forward to more projects in the future. Alright, that's going to wrap up the carbon fiber sun visor project. It's now about 100 plus degrees out in the garage. We're getting in the full swing of summer. Guys, be on the lookout for a lot of videos this year. I'm really going to try and step it up. We've got some, honestly, quite big plans for you guys. So check it out. Not only will we be making modifications, but I'm going to try and travel a lot more this year, get out to a lot more car-related events, and take a pretty killer road trip. So stay tuned for the videos. It should be really good.